Hello, hello, hello. Thank you for the thumbs up. If you could hit the thumbs up. Police searched Hoshman's home and found ammunition for a 25 caliber weapon, but no gun. They asked him where the gun was. Hey, much. What you been doing? Nothing much. Yeah, nothing. I've been laying in bed, being lazy all day. I decided to get up, to get out of bed. I was watching TV. Hey, Miss Burnett, how you doing? It's been a rainy day there. Oh, well, this is a good time for book reading. Mm, for some people, yeah. Y'all hit that like button. Oh, really. I guess supposedly some people don't like my book reading, but oh well. That's why I try and every once in a while say, if you're bored, you can leave. But thank you much. I appreciate the people that do, because it's important. May not be important to them yet, but it could come and be important to somebody. I think I got about 4 ladies that is, have called in to get them an appointment with a OBGYN doctor. They're gonna ask for that test. So to me, that's all that matters. If you have any symptoms, that's what matters. And and even if you're having the symptoms, it don't always mean if you're having some of those symptoms. It doesn't mean that you have ovarian cancer. But what's good is that if you feel like you're having any, get checked out. It's better safe than sorry. Because believe me, if my wife would have known and wasn't misdiagnosed, she'd probably be here today. Thank you, Miss Burnett. Yes, it most definitely is important. Yeah, because if she have known those symptoms, she wouldn't have waited until her doctor came back from vacation, and she would still be living, more than likely. Yeah, yeah. Find where my symptoms at, so I can read some of the symptoms off. I always like to do that, just in case. I got some people that just stay in the bushes and in the clouds. Uh, I get a lot of those people are more supportive from me reading the books. I guess when you, if you regular subscribers and you just used to mess or hearing mess, like all the content creators said, they basically say if you, and we don't deal in really in mess. We just talk, discuss it, talk about it. But when it's something of importance, we, we don't want to hear it. If it ain't mess, we'll turn around and leave. Yep. But this, I'm not gonna stop. Uh, just because of, like I said, they can leave if it's they're bored and it's not important to them. It won't be important until you start having symptoms. Yeah. Munch, was you over at B Town's chat? I told her I was. She asked me was I going on because she wanted to get some watch time hour yesterday. Okay, and she said she was coming over. I told her my my plans is just to read read some out of the books and then um, let people go if they want to go over and support her so she can get some of her watch time hours. The promotions done support that she needs. Talking about B Town? Yeah. She's I don't know. I really don't know how that silent screens how it worked. Do you get the same watch hour time as a person that is actually doing a live stream? I don't know. I really don't know. I hope so, because otherwise, people that's trying to get there, I think she uses. Well, yeah, she uses StreamYard, but whether you get the same amount of watch hour time as a person that is actually like me, actually doing live streams, not silent screens. I don't know. I don't know. Just um, I have had it's the second person that have asked me about doing a StreamYard um, panel. Um, the first one wanted me to do a StreamYard panel about James and 5A. I don't really want to do that. And then the second lady, uh, just recently, I think yesterday, I got a message and she asked me about doing a panel, not about James. Oh, yeah, chest pain. Oh, okay. Maybe town. She wanted me to do a panel about what you can and cannot, uh, or let me say, what is recommended for straight people not to say because I was trying to explain to them that they want to say about what James called 5A. But I said, what it's not what you say, it's how you say it. And that was pertaining to when she first started saying, talking about the side eye. Hey, Shakira. And it wasn't just, she didn't just say it in a nice way. She said it in a confrontational way. Plus, she used some curse words along with it. Okay, so that makes a difference. And people try to act like they don't know that, but they know it makes a difference if you curse with it, and then it's how how that person is saying. Well, she wanted me to do the panel about, because I had made the statement. Okay, if you use if you hear James and them calling each other the F word, okay, and then because they said, well, he calls the other guys fags and faggots and stuff like that, and I said, yes, that's the thing. Just because he called them that, you can't. You're straight. That's just like using the N word. If a white person called you the N word, you're gonna say other other than maybe slap them in the mouth, but otherwise you gonna say no. Like with Jason, you can't use that word. You're not entitled to use that word. You're not black. Okay, that's what most people. Now, me myself, I don't tolerate the N word from no one. I don't say it. I don't care if it got an ER or an A at the end. It is not in my vocabulary, and my grandkids can't use it. And anybody that know me know not to use it around me because I don't tolerate it. I don't. It ain't no word in endearment. That word has no endearment in it anywhere. Okay, it's derogatory, right? So and when I said that you can't call, she can't, she or y'all, straight people, you cannot call a gay guy the F words because you're not gay. So you're not entitled to use that word. They use that word to each other, okay? And it is not derogatory to them. But if you call them the F word, it's derogatory. And the second lady, that's the one that wanted me to do the panel on what can be said and what cannot be said. So I was thinking, but I don't know who to use. I mean, who to use on the panel, or who would want to get on, come on the panel and talk about that. Because I look at it. If you call James that, then how I feel, you'll call me some derogatory names also. And if you called Red Pill some derogatory, homophobic slurs, then you would call me that too, whether it's behind my back or not. That's how she thinks. So I don't know. I don't know somebody that might want to get on the panel and talk to them about it. So that was my. Okay. I'm just doing that until I got a few people in. Oh, let me see. Trying to find one. y'all chit chat. I was about to say, y'all hit that thumbs up, but I see y'all did it, except for one person. Trying to find an interesting story. What you say? You'll pass. What you talking about? You'll pass. Hmm. I'm going on the panel. You want that bowl for your dogs? You give it to. Oh, oh, oh. Well, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't. Yeah, I know y'all wouldn't want to go in there because I mean y'all don't know, so it would have to be some um, gay guys and gay women. Yep, it would have to be those two. Yeah, yeah, it would have to be one of them. Mm-mm-mm. Hey, Jonay, how you doing? Yeah, happy Saturday to you. Glad to see you. Glad to see you. All right, I'm gonna start this one. Hopefully, this is a interesting one for you. Get some help. Okay, here we go. This one is New Beginnings. Um, we're reading from this book, Jonah. It's called Torch. It's stories of 26 women that is ovarian cancer. New Beginnings. In the spring of 1999. Oh, shoot. Thank you. Because I ain't want them people on me again. Because they sure got me on that, on these. I, thank you for telling me. Y'all for telling me. Because, I can't remember to do it. I don't, it don't, it don't ring to me until I hear a notification. And then I can't remember how to do it, how to turn it off after I started. Okay, New Beginnings. In the spring of 1999, uh, I was working very hard. I worked at an insurance company in the payroll department. I began to have severe abdominal pain. I made repeated visits to the gynecologist. There was vaginal bleeding and a lot of cramping. I was told a biopsy was not possible. My doctor did continue to prescribe hormones. A CA-125 um, was not done because it was too costly. Uh, so they said it cost too much money to do it, to save a woman's life. Okay. I had the symptoms of ovarian cancer, but was told that I looked too good to have it. She looked too good to have ovarian cancer. Hmm. Wow. The symptoms persisted until it was clearly time to do a DNC. The initial report, everything is fine. 2 weeks later, I got a call saying the cells are changing as we speak. You need to come in. I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer that had spread to my uterus. In fact, there was a tumor the size of a grapefruit. A fibroid in the uterus was found along with an infection. During the surgery, Dr. Alan Stringer, an outstanding oncologist, came in and completed the surgery. He said, "You can get through this." The plan was to do 6 chemotherapy treatments, followed by a scan, and then wait 3 months. I actually went every 3 months for 5 years, and then was released to a gynecologist to monitor me. I enjoyed a 7.5 year remission. I was at my daughter's for Christmas in 2005. I was having a lot of abdominal pain. My primary care physician sent me back to the gynecologist for a pap smear and an examination. A scan revealed a smooth tumor on the colon, possibly colon cancer. Surgery was done removing 3 inches of my small intestine and 3 inches of my colon. hmm The tumor had been attached to the colon. At first, I was told that this was a different type of cancer. Yes, it was ovarian, but it had been given me, but it had been given to me by my mother at birth, congenital. Congenital. A duct had not properly shut off. That sounds strange. 3 weeks later, I went back into Dr. Stringer. He said, "This is not a different type of ovarian cancer, June. It is the same thing." It hit me like a ton of bricks. One of the things I have appreciated most by Dr. Stringer is his ability and desire to individualize treatment. For example, I couldn't do platinum drugs because of an allergy, so he tweaked it. When I first went in and was diagnosed, my CA-125 was 87. Now, 8 years later, it is 12. In fact, on March the 1st, 2007, I went in to Dr. Stringer. My treatment was finished. These are the most beautiful words you can hear after an experience like this. "I'll see you in 3 months." You think I'll be dancing in the street. I have to tell you, there are anxious feelings for me now. I realize I am no longer on chemotherapy. In other words, I have no safety net. There are no medications to take that would ensure the cancer would come back, that the cancer would not come back. I look back at the summer of 2000. My husband died of emphysema. My brother died of colon cancer. And my niece has inflammatory breast cancer. Grief work is hard work. I had to wrap my head around being a widow. Anger is out. Let's see, wait a minute. Anger is hard work as well. I remember being so angry during this time that I yelled out at God, "Dear God, I have not done everything I want to do." I finished up my outburst by beating on the vanity in my bathroom. I actually believe I have done all that I wanted to do. My children live in Louisiana. They want me to move to be closer to them. I have made a life here. I attend the ovarian cancer support group when I can. I have a paraplegic man living next door to me. I cook for him twice a week. Helping him actually lifts me up. It makes me feel good to know that even with cancer, I can still be helpful. The worst part of this journey for me has been the reaction I had to the chemotherapy drugs. One of the best things about this experience is I have found out I am tougher and stronger than I thought I was. I had to reach deep inside, grab onto the toughest part, and hold on. I didn't worry so much the first time, but am aware I am concerned this time. No safety net. I am a positive thinker. A positive outlook on life for me is a lifestyle. I shed negative thoughts. One of the nicest things happened to me after I heard cancer free. I went to the door and there was a delivery man. He had a large, beautiful floral arrangement in his hand. "These are for you," he said. "I can't wait." Hey, Lavender, how you doing? He said, "These are for you," he said. I, I couldn't wait to open the card to see who had sent them. My daughter, of course. Card read, "For new beginnings." I do feel like this is a new beginning for me. It has been a long, hard struggle. I now want to enjoy my daughters and my grandchildren. I am so grateful for this opportunity I've been given. I intend to make the most of it. And this was written by June Orr. If y'all have anybody new, if you have any questions, I guess oh, hey, Tatted Hearts, how you doing? Glad to see you. Someone keeps blocking you. You you got blocked with the other, with the, what was it? Airy, uh, with that profile also? Oh, wow. Okay. Shakira. Okay. Hey, Shakira. Let me see if she's. Shakira. Shakira, just go and check and see. I don't know what's going on. Check that name she said, and let me know if it's in there. Mm-hmm. That's kind of strange to have all. Hmm. Okay, let me see. Oh, like I said, for the new people that's in there. Testing, testing. What we see, I can see you anyway. Okay. Oh, okay, okay, okay. Tatted. Yeah, she said with her tatted heart. Oh, oh I can't see. Oh, yeah, I can't see. Hold on, let me see. No. Yeah, I can't see nothing. Not on my phone. Can't see anything. She, Shakira, tell me if she's in there. Oh shit. Hold on, y'all. I let me see something right quick. Okay. All right. Now I found it back. Excuse me. I deactivated it. I don't know. It deleted. It said it had deleted the live, and then I tried to go back to it. It wouldn't let me. Okay. Let me get back to my reading. Because I was gonna be mad if I lost that. Can y'all see me? Tell me, tell me if y'all can see me. Anybody? Can anybody see me? Hmm. Hey, can y'all see me? I guess not. Um, can y'all see me? No one. Hey, Shakira, can you see me? Okay. All right. Hey, Miss TR, how you doing? Glad to see you. All right. Um, oh, I'm buffering. X in the corner. Hold on, let me see. What if I hit no, I can't. If I hit the X, I'm gonna close my chat out. Oh, you can see me now. Okay. Oh, okay. I'm glad I did. All right. This story is the silver lining. I would deal with that other stuff. See, okay, I'll deal with that later. But that other stuff. Okay, a silver lining. Today I am 40 years old. I have been married to oh, thank you. I have been married to a remarkable man for 15 years. I have two beautiful daughters, 29 and 25. Since I was fortunate to marry a man with girls, my youngest daughter made me a grandmother at 35. My grandson is now 5 years old. He is my inspiration. I see myself as an adventurous professional woman, having worked in management for JCPenney for the last 25 years. My family and I have moved 10 times with the JCPenney company. So I would say we all enjoy adventures. I was born and raised in California and currently have my home in Texas. I have a wonderful family and one sister. I enjoy my family and the time we spend together. I run, walk, yoga, ski, and enjoy movies and readings. I was 38 years old when I was diagnosed with ovarian cancer. Cancer does not run in my family. I had simple signs of bloating, gas, and restless nights, but this all seemed normal for my schedule. I did think I was pregnant. My husband and I were not practicing birth control, but all tests were negative. I began seeing the doctor about these symptoms in June 2004, as my symptoms had started Memorial Day weekend. June was filled with routine exams and tests like blood work, EKGs, stress tests, and x rays, all of which were normal. Meanwhile, I could explain all my symptoms, but my friend thought I was run down. I was busy with work, and my husband kept on me to see a doctor. My doctor felt that I had high blood pressure, which was borderline. This gave me relief, as I thought the doctor finally knew what was wrong with me. I started taking medication for high blood pressure the late in late July. I appeared to get some relief. Sometimes the symptoms of discomfort and bloating was would last only one day, returning to normal the next. After 2 weeks on medication, I began to gain weight. I called the doctor and was weighed. The comment from the doctor was, "This is strange and not normal." However, my blood pressure had returned to normal. I was instructed to stop taking the medication. Meanwhile, I had a trip to California. It took everything I had to continue this trip, as the symptoms had returned. When I got back, I called the doctor right away. I was told there was nothing they could do for me, but they recommended that I go see a gastro doctor. I was very frustrated and made an appointment, which was 3 weeks out. On Friday, I was to have my yearly visit with my OB that I almost canceled due to bloating and discomfort. When I arrived to my appointment with my OB, I began to explain what I had been going through for 3 months. She appeared to be frustrated that I was on all this medication. Once she examined me, she had difficulty finding my right ovary. She wanted me to stop all medications, including vitamins, and come back on Monday for an ultrasound. On Monday, September the 14th, an ultrasound was completed in her office, and I was asked to wait for the doctor. Once my doctor arrived, she asked for my husband's number. She called my husband and began to tell us her findings once he arrived. My OB had already made my appointment with the oncologist for Wednesday the 16th. On Wednesday the 16th, we met with my hero. My oncologist gave us great hope. I was examined with my husband in the room, and blood was drawn. We went home to wait for results. We were called later that day, which started a whirlwind of things. My CA 125 was 2,973 cancer. By Friday, September 18th, I was no longer able to walk. The fluid in my stomach made me look like I was 7 months pregnant. I was miserable. My daughter took me to the emergency room to get prepped for surgery. It was scheduled for Monday the 20th. I did not make it through testing, so I was admitted to the hospital. I was given relief for one day when the fluid was drained off my stomach. After surgery, I was in my own room and my doctor entered. He said, if there is a silver lining to cancer, I was just given it. I had 3 tumors, one the size of a loaf of bread, one the size of a grapefruit, and the third the size of a volleyball. These tumors were self-contained on my right ovary. At this time, he explained what was to follow: standard chemo and blood work. He also suggested I look into the opportunity of going to MD Anderson for a bone marrow transplant. I replied, road trip. Today I am still astonished at my enthusiasm for the adventure. I did make it to MD Anderson for the transplant. I feel very lucky to have participated in it. Today I am in remission, which, which did not come easy. I am truly blessed to be on this adventure and to have come this far. This was Christina Huston's story. Okay, one more. Let me find that. Another interesting one. Let's see here. Any questions? We'll go through the before I start back. For anybody that that's new in the chat, the CA 125. Hello, how you doing, TR Realty? Glad to see you. The the test for ovarian cancer is called CA 125. It's a blood test that they give you. The test for blood for breast cancer is it's called BRAC. It's a gene, BRAC, BRAC1, and I think BRAC2. It's also a blood test that can be given to let you know if you have breast cancer. The ovarian cancer one, CA 125, the normal for ovarian cancer is 0 to 35. Anything other than 35 and up is cancer. It's ovarian cancer. And some of the symptoms, let's see, can I remember? Is, let's see, what? ovarian cancer whispers. Okay, they call it the silent killer. Let's see. Okay, bloating, abdominal pain. You got fatigue. You got painful intercourse, backache, constipation or diarrhea, feeling of fullness when eating, increased urination, indigestion. Let's see, and you got leg pain. Let's see, did I say back pain? Yeah, okay. Leg pain. What did I miss? Pain. Did I say painful intercourse? Yeah, I think I said that. What else? What else did I miss? Oh, tuberculosis. Uh, oh, okay, okay. I thought you were. Um, yeah, it's. I think it's 13 of them. I hope I. Leg pain. Um, a persistent cough. There was one lady that had a persistent cough. Uh, and maybe the others come back to me if I've missed any. But let me. No question. It's okay. I'm trying to find. Oh yeah. It's, the gift of today. I recently. I was recently driving through New Mexico in a very heavy fog at night on unfamiliar roads. My granddaughter thought it was grand, like bumper cars. Nana, all you have to do is stay between the lines. I had to remind her that the bumper cars, the object is to bounce off the bumper of all other cars on the track. Something I hoped we would not be doing. The fog was heavy for a long time, but as day was breaking, the fog gradually began to lift. It was sporadic and would change from foggy to clear and then back again several times before ultimately clearing altogether. When the fog lifted, the road signs were distinct and clear and very easy to read. I looked around further. The beauty of this day was just beginning, and I was taken aback in awe. It it occurred to me how similar my journey with cancer has been. Like in the fog when I was first diagnosed, I could hardly see anything. It was black and dark. I was scared. The beams of light offered no look into the future, but rather reflected helplessly back into my immediate path. Instead of looking at the big picture, I had to concentrate on just staying between the lines. My first CT scan showed cancer throughout my abdomen, pancreas, ovaries, omentum, spleen, possibly colon and liver, and the list goes on. My son was with me when I got the news, but I couldn't bring myself to call my daughter. Luckily, my son called her, and she drove all night to be with me. I went home and cried in my sweetheart Richard's arm. We scheduled an emergency sisters meeting so I could tell them in person. It had to be done, but having recently lost another sister to breast cancer, it was not it was not easy. I just knew my life would be over in 6 months or less. Like the fog, the next few weeks were a blur. There were blood tests, biopsies, and a PET scan. On the way to my doctor's office, I pulled out a copy of the PET scan and saw the blanket of malignant wrapped around my liver. This can't be good. Additionally, the biopsy confirmed two primary malignant ovarian and isolate cell cancer of the pancreas. Decisions had to be made. How do you make decisions when your life depends on it? I researched on the internet and became sure of my impending demise. Luckily, I had the support of family and friends. They dragged me along and helped me stay on course. I also stopped searching the internet. I later learned that by the time statistics are published, they are already outdated. I was also tested and found positive for the BRCA1 gene. That's that is the breast cancer. Uh, she was found positive for breast cancer. I officially had a 90% chance of breast cancer and a 40% chance of ovarian cancer. I also learned there were other cases of ovarian cancer in my family, a grandmother and a cousin, both of whom had died from this. Additionally, I had two sisters and a mom who had breast cancer twice each. My siblings were tested as well. Two were positive for the genetic mutation, two were negative. My kids were tested, one positive and one negative. I was told I would need to be in remission for 2 years before a decision would need to be made about my breast. Both of my sisters who were positive, however, opted for prophylactic surgery. They found early ductal breast cancer in one. I was relieved that she would not have to go through chemo. I opted to have a debulking surgery in the middle of the chemotherapy regimen. They would also do a pancreas resection for the pancreatic cancer, though one physician suggested since I was stage 4, perhaps surgery was not a good option for me. A total of 8 chemos were scheduled. Luckily, I responded almost immediately to chemo. Surgery was done after number 4 and was considered a success because they were able to optimally debulk. I continued to work long hours and took the minimum of time off that I felt I needed. I continued to drive too fast on this fog saturated road. Just stay on course, I told myself, and you'll get through this. I guess I thought the faster I drove, the faster I could get this behind me. During this time, I did attend a support group for women with ovarian cancer. The meetings were held at Baylor University Medical Center in Dallas. I completed that treatment regimen on November the 11th, 2005, still burning the candle at both ends. I went to my daughter's house to help her after her C-section, scheduled for 3 days later. While there, I got high fevers and even passed out in the bathroom and broke some ribs. I saw a physician locally who administered IV antibiotics and rehydrated me. My boss and other people at work were very supportive. My boss even suggested I take long lunches and travel to the Baylor support groups whenever possible. I was terrified, but something else was happening to me as well. I began to take joy in my work, something that had once actually defined me. Many aspects of my job seemed very trivial. I found myself using mortality as a measuring stick for everything. This is beneficial when, for instance, you have a spat with your loved one and you just need to get over it. But at work, even trivial things need to be addressed. I continued to do my job, but it was getting more difficult, not returning to normal like I thought it would. The fog remained heavy as I continued to work too much. I often worried about recurrence. The support group was wonderful. I could be myself there, and they understood. What do I look for in a recurrence? I asked one day. The women discussed their own experiences. They talk and share, but advice is never given, just support and understanding. It is strange to say, but the fog started lifting after my recurrence. Not feeling I needed to be the hero anymore, I took a leave of absence from work. This time around, I would take better care of myself. I am enrolled in a yoga class and I go to the support group most weeks. I am in a good place most days. The fog is gone and everything is bright and clear. It's a different life. It revolves around doctor visits, lab, and radiology tests. But it's not a bad life. It's a shame. Without this experience, I would not be at this place. For the most part, I, I have quit worrying about my mortality. My manager now, I heard this one day at support group from a very wise woman. My days are numbered by the Lord, and only He knows when that time will be up and whether it will be by heart attack, accident, or ovarian cancer. There is a reason they call each day the present. Say, faith isn't faith until it's all you're holding on to. And the story was by Joyce Camp. Good. I mean, I could read another one if y'all wanted to hear another one for those that came in late. Let me see what I just in case. I had my finger over the thing. Okay, let's see. Thought about. Okay, okay. All right. Alrighty, alrighty. So, anybody want to hear another story? And then after that, I guess that'll be it. Y'all just let me know. Uh, Trying to find a good one. Oh, okay. Let me try to find a good, interesting one. I may read my wife's story. Yeah, a good one. Okay, I guess I'm gonna read my wife's story for those that haven't heard it. This heard this called "Living the American Dream." Today is my 52nd birthday, a day I really didn't think I'd live to see. You see, I was diagnosed with stage 4 ovarian cancer and offered no hope of surviving beyond 3 months after the initial diagnosis. That was 2 years ago. Like many liberated women of my era, I was living the American dream, free, black, successful, and very much aware of how many deaths are related to the various types of cancer. My journey began in April 2007, the day of my diagnosis. My symptoms began months prior to my 50th birthday. I undeniably had a textbook case of ovarian cancer. I was gaseous, immediately felt full after meals. I suffered loss of appetite, developed abnormal menstrual cycles, and finally developed abdominal swelling and bloating. I was treated for everything from acid reflux to parasites and was even told that I was pregnant before undergoing a simple blood test that could have saved my life. By my 50th birthday, I had gone misdiagnosed for 6 months prior to my medical examination, and examination that would not have taken place if I had not refused to leave the doctor's office until he figured out what was wrong with me. Only then was I scheduled for a colonoscopy, and the thought of cancer arose. I underwent the colonoscopy, which found several node, nodes, lymph nodes that were deemed non-cancerous in nature. However, my symptoms continued and even grew even worse. As luck would have it, I returned to the clinic for further treatments when a female physician, one I often saw but who had been out on vacation and just returning, took one look at me and my bloated stomach and immediately asked when I had had a mammogram. I replied, "You know that I have a scheduled medical exam annually, so what's the deal?" With that look in her eyes, she immediately ordered blood work and scheduled an ultrasound and CAT scan for the following morning. Morning came soon enough, and I was off to the imaging facility, not knowing what to expect. The staff was courteous, and all went well until I lay on the small exam table and the ultrasound began. My background is in the field of technology, so I was familiar with the images projected by the ultrasound. I could see a large mass, and it wasn't good. My heart sank. At some point, I choked down a bottle of barium and proceeded on to the CT scan. All I could visualize was the size of the mass located in my abdomen. Within 24 hours, I was referred to Baylor University Medical Center and Dr. Carolyn Matthews. By now, I was mad as hell and wondering why a correct diagnosis had not been made sooner, especially since I showed all the known symptoms of the disease. Sadly, I had no idea just how bad it was to be. I knew that I had to tell my family and those closest to me something. What? As my partner, Decop, and I entered the Baylor Salmons Cancer Center, the sound of the revolving doors rotated behind us seemed endless. The sight of so many cancer patients, young and old, stifled me, and the smell of chemotherapy was gagging. We made our way to the second floor where I was to meet Dr. Matthews for the first time. My only thought was that I really hoped she had her act together. My sister and Decop were seated in the outer reception area, as I proceeded back into a small confined room housing what seemed to be a very large table. Facing me was a plastic sculpture of the female reproductive organs that indicated a various stages of ovarian cancer. Within 10 to 15 minutes, a young nurse introduced herself to me, provided me with numerous documents to complete, and asked me if I had any questions. My answer was yes. What exactly is wrong with me? Up until that point, no one, including my physician, had said the word cancer. She looked at me as if I was crazy, and I looked back at her just as stupid as I could and asked, "Well," bless her heart, she looked deeply into my eyes and took my hands and said, "Darling, the doctor will be with you shortly." Time seemed to stand still as I sat there staring at that plastic sculpture. Finally, Dr. Matthews came in and introduced herself to me. Her voice was soft and soothing, and I immediately felt at ease. Our conversation progressed, and I again asked the question, "What's wrong with me?" She looked puzzled and said, "Test results indicate a large mass on your right ovary and quite possibly ovarian cancer." I was stunned. I didn't hear anything else. I didn't hear another thing she had to say. At some point, I was scheduled for a biopsy. As I made my way out of the patient area and back to the waiting room, I could see Decop listening to her iPod. I tapped her on her shoulder and simply said, "Let's go." She asked what the doctor had said, and my reply was that we'll talk about it when we got home. I asked her if she was hungry. I decided we'll go to our favorite restaurant for Mexican food and a multitude of Long Island iced teas. All the while, I was contemplating just how I would tell everyone what was going on, telling my family and friends. Once home, I sat and told Decop what the deal was: cancer. Decop, a little shorty who's cute as a button and the type of person who internalizes everything, was now staring at me in total dismay and asked, "What do you mean, cancer?" My only reply to her was, "Yep." We sat down on the couch and just shook our heads. I've been shot at, mugged, knifed, ran over, struck by lightning, and survived an airplane crash and two tours in Kuwait during Operation Desert Storm. And now this. What the hell? Now it was time to tell the family. I began calling my youngest sister Beatrice. Now, Beatrice is the smooth, sophisticated type who's damn good looking and smart as a whip. I knew that I would have a lot of explaining to do when it came to her, so I just wanted to get this over with. Sure enough, she began with, "What type of cancer? What are we going to do? Chemo, radiation, what?" There's one good thing about having a younger sister. You know that she's going to have everyone's phone number on speed dial. By the next afternoon, the posse was rolling in from Houston and San Antonio. I could barely get the door open as they burst in and began asking, "What are you going to do? Is your will in order? How about power of attorney? How about a simple hello?" These people were a trip. I was still trying to wrap my head around what was going on with me, so the commotion was a bit much to handle. As I stood there stunned, my older sister decided that I wasn't of sound mind and they should handle everything for me. I immediately let them know that my mental state was just fine. Everyone had instantly become an authority on cancer as well as my life. This was becoming a very stressful situation in a very short time. By day 3, I had enough of them, and they realized it. Offended and unable to understand that I had to come to terms with what was going on, they packed up and departed, all except for Beatrice, who planned to stay for the biopsy scheduled for later that week. In private, Beatrice asked me why I didn't want my family around. I had to explain to her in great detail that it wasn't that I didn't want them there, but I needed time for all this to soak in. Furthermore, I was and still am very independent and used to handling things my way. She looked at me and said, "Well, you're not in this alone." We prayed together and asked for strength and healing. Tuesday arrived right on time, and the three of us zigged off to Baylor. Beatrice drove with that Houston type of vengeance. Decock rode shotgun, and I hung on for dear life in the back of that GMC. Our arrival and check-in went well. I dressed in that nasty little gown and awaited transport. I was so hungry. I was rolled up and down the hallway, only to be parked in line with other unfortunate patients. After about 15 minutes, it was my turn. What did I expect? Here I was on the table being prepped, with this guy sticking needles into my abdomen to numb the area. Well, I have to tell you, they didn't use enough of that numbing stuff because I came right off that table when they began to stroke up and down with that sample collector. My eyes were nailed to the ceiling, and I was visibly going into shock. I was ice cold with sweat pouring off my body. I recalled being I recalled being restrained as they drew the last sample. The doctor attempted to explain what was to happen next. However, I really didn't care. I just wanted to get the hell out of there. When when returned to my room, I found myself alone. My sister and Decop had gone out in search for food since none of us had eaten. Alone, my thoughts were of how lonely and sad this place was. Hours passed before I was informed of the results of the biopsy, which was indicated malignant cells. We all just dropped our heads. At some point, a CT scan was conducted, and I was scheduled to meet with Dr. Matthews. Dr. Matthews, the, my stomach was swollen, and I had dropped approximately 80 pounds within the past 6 months. I entered the exam room where the sound of Johnny offered a smooth serenade, and my doctor drank her herbal tea. This meeting with Dr. Matthews was more informative, and we discussed a plan of action. I was in stage 4, meaning the cancer had spread to other organs. I was to immediately begin chemotherapy and no radiation. The tumor was massive with a CA 125 off the scale. I then asked about the life expectancy of an individual with stage 4. Her response was that normally ovarian cancer, if caught in the early stages, has an average lifespan of about 5 to 7 years. Since my cancer was so advanced and aggressive, the odds of 5 years were slim, and in reality, it would be best to take life day to day. I staggered out of the waiting room and discussed the conversation with Beatrice and Decop. By now, they both knew not to ask me too many questions. My thought pattern was only to grasp information at hand and keep it simple. I had absolutely no intentions of dying before getting that first Social Security check at the age of 65. My sister remained with me for another week before returning to Houston. DCOP remains to be my guardian. Chemotherapy. I had never been able to tolerate needles, and now I was in a living hell with 6 hours of chemotherapy and blood tests every week. This went on from April to June, and the chemo wasn't working. We tried another drug. Now, every Monday, it was blood work and chemo. This, this one's not working either. By now, I looked like a 5 foot 7 inch naked chicken. My stomach was hyperextended and filled with fluid to the size of a pregnant woman carrying triplets, and my hips looked like two pieces of bologna flapping in the wind. My teeth appeared to be larger than my head. I slept most of the day and prayed for the remainder. I suffered severe constipation in the beginning and finally was able to experience relief only after taking every known laxative. My God, this is insane. One day, as I stood in the shower, unable to see my feet because of my swollen belly, I cried out that I wasn't going out like this. I asked God to free me from this disease, and I chose life. Family and friends continued to rally around me, being as supportive as one could imagine. Daily, I received calls and cards from my sisters and coworkers. When I was hungry, the doorbell would always ring, and there would be someone just on the other side of it bearing food. When my spirits were at their lowest, I would receive prayer in forms of letters, emails from friends and strangers. When my yard needed attending, the young boy from down the street whom I mentored would cut it. When I looked like hell, the girls and I would do lunch, and they would always build up my spirits. Lastly, as I endured hours of chemo, DCOP was by my side making sure all was good. It was now September 2007, and none of the drugs were working. The CA 125 wouldn't drop, and finally, hopes of a trial drug were offered. I was taken off chemotherapy prior to entering the trial drug program. So I decided a road trip was in order. Since I was deemed terminally ill, then I would go out in style. I began by having 6 liters of fluid drawn off my stomach so I could move around a little better. Purchased my dream car, a Jaguar XJ8, bought a road atlas, withdrew $5,000 out of the bank, and bought 2 bottles of whiskey and 2 6-packs of Coke, and headed on our way to points unknown. Of course, DCOP wasn't going to let me drive alone, so she became my road dog. We traveled to Oklahoma and experienced their centennial celebration, gambled on the penny slots, and floated through Bricktown. Next, we traveled throughout the hill country. I ate rattlesnake chili and listened to very bad country music. There, we rented a small shack of a cabin for a week and enjoyed all LBJ's country had to offer. DCOP was a bit afraid when I said that we were going to live in a shack for a week out on the prairie. This poor girl had never experienced scenery without street lights or heard the call of the wild in the night. It was great. Each morning I would make my way out to the porch with a cup of coffee and watch the wildlife begin their day. The peace was overwhelming. I would meditate and pray each day until a calm overtook me. One morning I decided if God allowed me to make it through this, then I would build a cabin and offer it to people afflicted with cancer or those who just needed that calm. We ended our road trip by cruising up Highway 281, returning to Dallas. Since being off treatment, I found myself stronger with an increased appetite. Man, I love bacon. I began a simple exercise program in which I would walk from one corner to the end of the block. I know that doesn't sound much, but for someone who couldn't walk from the bedroom to the front door in under 20 minutes, it was considered remarkable. While on my walk late one evening, I was contacted by a representative from Baylor's Research Center where the trial drug program was being performed. The young man began by asking me how I had been feeling. My response was absolutely great. He then stated, "That's good. Now, Miss Moore, I have to tell you that you are no longer a candidate for the trial drug program." My heart sank, and the strength in my legs gave way. It was all I could do to grab a hold of a mailbox to steady myself. He went on to say that my cancer had stabilized with no indication of new growth. My response was, "Okay, what's next?" He said, quite pleasant, that I would be hearing from my doctor soon. Within minutes, Dr. Matthews called, and I was still clenching the mailbox. She immediately asked me what I'd been doing. My response was praying. Again, she asked what exactly had been doing. I had exactly what I had been doing. Again, I responded, praying. Needless to say, I was in her office shortly after the conversation. I again entered chemotherapy, and this drug had an effect on the cancer. Every Monday, I went for treatment and continued on with my week. I began to make plans no longer from day to day, but now week to week. From October 2007 until September 2008, my CA 125 continuously declined. I returned to work at the amazement of family, coworkers, and doctor with a mission on my mind. That promise I made to God was weighing on me with an indescribable sense of urgency to step into action. The ugly couch cabin. I began searching for a property within 100 miles radius of Dallas, armed only with a premonition conveyed to me by my sister. I began searching in East Texas for cabins. Within 1 week, I had found and made an offer on a funky little cabin with a nasty wooden couch placed on its front porch. The realtor, an ex used car saleswoman, was more than happy to assist me. We met at the cabin and spoke for hours. This would be her first sale. While we were in conversation, she noticed the small teal ribbon on the collar of my blouse and asked what type of cancer it represented. My own, "Hey, Love Blake." My my reply was ovarian. She then asked if I were if I were a survivor. I stated yes. She went on to tell me about her experience with breast cancer and spiritually how she had changed. We prayed at the entrance of the cabin that I would be successful in purchasing it and that we both would be completely healed by God. The transaction to purchase the cabin went well until the day of the home inspection. I decided that it would be in my best interest to be on hand for the inspection, and so did my realtor. We met at the cabin and chatted for a while when we noticed another car pulling into the drive. We both expected it to be the home inspector, but it turned out to be the homeowner. We exchanged greetings. Then I noticed the pink ribbon on her bumper. I asked if she were a survivor, and her response was yes. We all looked at one another and began to exchange stories. By the end of the afternoon, we had laughed, cried, and broken bread. I told her that the cabin was intended for a rehabilitation and would be offered to cancer patients. She then told me that she had initially purchased the cabin to have a place to die from cancer. I closed on the property in mid August 2008, and from that date until December 2008, I have worked endlessly on refurbishing it. It wasn't until I drove by a lonely billboard located west of Canton, Texas, on Highway 20 that states, Jesus said, "It is finished," that I knew that was my mission was that my mission was complete. My CA 125 is on the rise once again, and I've placed uh, on another waiting list for a new trial drug to program. I've made the decision to retire from my job I love so much and have decided to make the most of my remaining time. I have come to realize several things. God has a sense of humor. You will get out of life what you put into it. We all have a mission in life. Our lives are to be enjoyed and never stop believing in miracles. So if you are ever traveling down Highway 67, and that's wrong, if it's Highway 20, I don't know what Highway 67, and are in need of a quiet place to rest, just look for the Ugly Couch Cabin. It's the one with the big silver gates. And the story was by me, my wife. All right then, we got that done. Anybody have any questions, comments, anything? Mm-hmm. Love Blake. Haven't seen you in a while. Mm-hmm. All right then. Oh, cute. His button. Yeah, she always saying that. His wife still. No, she passed December 2014. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. She had a sense of humor. Yeah, she would say some crazy stuff, especially to the doctors. Yeah. All right then. Well, B Town need to get you me. Oh no. No. I have some, know some friends that had breast cancer, but her hers is the teal is for ovarian cancer. Yeah, and I got tattoos with both of them on the see that says hope, and it has pink the pink for breast cancer and the teal is for ovarian cancer, and that said hope, and this one says faith. Let me see. Be able to see it. Oh, I done hit something. I don't know what I did. Let me see. Wait a minute. Let me see. Oh, okay. Let me see if you can see it. Yeah, that says faith, and it's pink and teal. Stage 3 breast cancer survivor going on 10 years. Oh, congratulations. And still, oh, good. Fantastic. Congratulations. Yep, 10 years. Yeah. Oh, my goodness. Yeah. Everything's still good. Yeah, that is excellent. The, I, I still get nervous. Oh, that's what I was wondering if y'all are done the same way. Because I think they get tested like they have to go in every 3 months, and some of them, well, it depends, and some of them every 6 months. And they say they're always nervous. Is it more good, good? And yeah, I definitely pray for you that you still are good. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I thought uh, I still haven't seen that lady. What was it? Sonos. What was the name of Britannia? Beyonce knows. She had told us that her mother had just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. She was, I think she, oh, no problem at all. Yeah, her mom, she was just listening, and then she came down and told us that her mom had just been diagnosed with ovarian cancer. And but um, I think she was listening to some of the reading, and she couldn't take it anymore because she said her mom um, wouldn't tell them anything. Because I asked her what stage was she in. She said her mom wouldn't tell them what stage she was in or nothing about it. So yeah, so I hope her mom doing okay. Hmm. Yeah, I usually try to read every day. I read two or three chapters every stories every day. So yeah, so tomorrow we'll be on here reading some more stories. So if you're not busy, swing on by. Yeah. All right. Well, B Town, you want your since you need your watch hours. If anybody want to go, I have you on Bill Alert. Okay. All right. That's good. Thank you. I appreciate it. Yeah, just swing on by. We'll be here. Um, B Town need her watch time hours. So um, if any of y'all want to hang around, go over to B Town and help her out with getting her watch time hours. And I'm gonna close mine and go over there and help her out. All right. Well, I do appreciate everybody that came and listened to the stories. I appreciate it. And I will see y'all on tomorrow. All right. I'm out of here.